Folks, today I'm going to talk to you how precious you are all, how important you are to what you all call God. That's what I'm going to talk to you. At the end of this video, you will realize how really precious you are. I'm also going to talk to you about the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, tree of knowledge, Garden of Eden, all these concepts. I've talked about this in another English video, but that was some time back. I want to give a whole picture of all this and make you realize how the whole humanity is part of one system called God. Without you, the so-called God cannot understand the importance of or the results of living in multiple form as human beings without knowing or with the ignorance of that the other one is also God's form. That's what I'm going to talk to you. First of all, as you all dream, when you are in a deep sleep, you don't know who you are. Just before going to deep sleep, everything seems to be darkening. Whole thing is dark. And that's what happens when this energy called Parashakti or Paramasvam. Please don't mistake this because I'm using these words, Hindu words, doesn't mean that they're all Hindu gods. They're just names. These two are in deep sleep. The whole thing appears as a dark thing. It's dark everywhere, but it appears dark when you see it from outside. That is before this Paramashivam and Parashakti goes to sleep, it appears as darkness. But it is not dark. This is where this darkness is the mind or brain of the whole universe. We call this as a universal mind, God's mind. Here in this mind, when Parashakti and Paramaswam are in deep sleep together, there is no opposite. There is nothing like death or birth, suffering, happiness, all kinds of opposites are not there. Just eternal peace. And that's what is called in Christianity, in Bible, kingdom of heaven. In Hindu terminology, it's called Swargam, that is just peace, place of peace. Now, this Paramashivam and Parashakti, they start dreaming. So especially Parashakti starts dreaming. As you dream, when you come out of deep sleep, before you fully awake, sometimes you dream. Just like that, this Parashakti starts dreaming. It so happens in this dream, Parashakti separates from Paramashivam and puts certain kind of ignorance, or you can call certain kind of knowledge, both are same. This stage, initial stage of separation of Parashakti, Paramashivam, is what is called Adi Shiva and Adi Shakti in Hindu terminology, and Adam and Eve in Bible. Incorrectly, folks in Western religion are thinking that Adam and Eve are human beings because people can only see humanity. They cannot see the kingdom of God, God's world. That's why they think that Adam and Eve are human beings. That's not true. This Adi Shiva and Adi Shakti, the initial separation, the first stage of the dream of Paramashivam and Parashakti, is what is called Adam and Eve. By the way, this darkness, eternal darkness that I was talking about, the universal mind, is what Buddha called as Shunya, because there is no form there, everything is dark. And this is exactly the one which Muslims worship in Mecca as a black stone, though they don't know about it. Some people say that it is not black, it is white, because everybody thinks that this black one is something bad, the white represents the purity and so on. That's just in ignorance. I tell you in a minute, you will understand why people think like that. This initial separation of Paramaswam and Parashakti in the dream, this Parashakti or this Adi Shakti tells Adi Shiva or Adam that I'm born now. Don't wake up that dark one energy. It'll eat me. Then I'll become dead. And after some time I'll sprout again. I'll be born again. This is the knowledge, the first ignorance or knowledge that this Shakti puts on this Paramashivam or Adi Shivan. This ignorance is what is represented by a snake between Adam and Eve in Christianity, and also around Shiva's neck. This snake is there. It's also the same thing. Same snake in general represent ignorance, symbol of ignorance. Now, these are in Christianity. It is said that Adam and Eve were kicked out of Garden of Eden because they committed a sin. They didn't commit any sin. They just it's a part of a dream. They just come out. The Shakti induces or puts some ignorance on the mind of or in Paramashivam or Adishivan. That is the ignorance. It's not sin, as I've been saying right from the beginning, my first video. There is nothing like a sin. Nobody has committed any sin at all. It's all ignorance. Now, this one Shakti, Adi Shakti, then puts the ignorance on this Paramasivam or Adi Shiva. The ignorance of having three eyes, and that generates all the three lights, the white light, golden light, and red light, and that I have talked in almost every video. So you can watch them and get the details. Now, and also I talked about the relation between these three lights and the place where it originates, Maheshwara, and also the Christian God, and which expresses in three forms, the three lights. Please watch that. Now, this Maheshwari, the Shakti, the one with the three jyotis, lights. People call that as, Hindus call that as a Maheshwari. different from the Adi Shakti, because now it is in a different state with the three eyes and three um, kinds of lights. This Maheshwari, that this Shakti, which is the form of the three lights, spreads everywhere in the mind of God or the Paramashivam and Parashakti, and generates the three lights, the white light and the golden light and the red light everywhere in the mind of Paramashivam or Parashakti, in the universal mind. Now, after doing this Maheshwari, which is the three, by the way, this one Adi Shakti becoming three lights is what is called in Hindu terminology, one becomes three, that is trident, Trishul as they call in Sanskrit. Now this Maheshwari, which is three, becomes five by uniting with this golden light. Those are the five snakes behind a form called Vishnu. Vishnu has the five snakes or five bhutas. It has the power of five bhutas or five ganas or whatever Sanskrit word that they use in Hindu tradition. Now, after forming this five senses, as I talked about in the first Kalki video, that is Hidden Secrets of Kalki, various turning points or avatars takes place, created. One such thing is the human form. In the human form, these five snakes, the five bhutas, are used to create the five senses in the human body. In the first prototype, our first creation of human being. Then the mind of Vishnu is represented in the mind of the first Vamanavatar or the human form. These are the six energies in the six chakras. I talked about that earlier. Now, then the seventh chakra is closed, as I said. And this form, this human form, is created in the sea of those three lights. That's why I've been saying that all human beings are surrounded by these three lights. The golden light gives life to the newly created human body. It gives the feeling of I-ness, who I am, that kind of feeling. It gives. The white energy gives that kind of feeling. And the red light protects this human form from ignorance. Also, later when the human form is full of ignorance, it also removes the ignorance. Now, let's think about this tree of knowledge. Where is it? As you can think of, the tree consists of basically three things: the root, the trunk, and the branches. That's the second part. Third part are the leaves. The root is in the universal mind, that is the mind of Paramashivam and Parashakti, the total darkness. And the branches and trunks are these Adi Shiva and Adi Shakti are Adam and Eve, and the Maheshwara and Maheshwari, and Vishnu and Lakshmi, and so on. All these gods' forms are trunks, the trunk and the branches. The leaves are human beings. They are at the outermost level of creation. Just like the tree you see in this world uses the sun's power to create energy, passes that energy to the root. Human beings live in ignorance because when they first created, the seventh chakra was closed. That prevented each human form knowing the other human form is also God's form. Why? What's all this? This is all the dream of this Shakti, Parashakti, or Leela, as it's called in Hindu tradition. In Hindu tradition, they talk about this, but when they suffer, most of the human beings immediately forget this. This is all the play of the God because they really don't understand it. They just only know those words. It's because of that, they think that they suffer. And when they suffer, they forget that the whole thing is just a dream of this Adi Shakti or Parashakti. So, the ignorant life of human beings, because their seventh chakra is closed, all their experiences of living in ignorance are all passed to this universal mind when they die. That's what I have talked about. That when a new human being is created, they take part of that earlier creations experience and they are born, in addition to what they inherit from their parents, the energy of ignorance from whole tradition of human beings, right from Stone Age. I talked about that in an earlier video. So now, without the leaves, without the human beings living in ignorance, with the Adi Shiva and Adi Shakti can never know the experience of living in ignorance in multiple form without knowing the other person also is God's form. It is to get this kind of experience that human being's seventh chakra is closed. You may ask why this Shakti is making people suffer. It's just its play. But when it was first created, human beings were first created, they were just ignorant, but they are full of love, because at that time initially the all the Shaktis of the seven in the seven chakras in a human being, when they are created first time, when Vamana Avatar was created, it's all pure in pure form. There was no ignorance. They're all very happy. That form was very happy because it has the power of that golden light, the everlasting love of God. But by living in ignorance, more and more they accumulated this ignorance and they suffer. So now you can see how important human beings are for the gods. And also you can see the whole thing is one system, the system of tree of knowledge, or tree of ignorance, the other way of looking at it. Without you, without human beings, the gods can never know the experience of living in multiple form with their seven chakra closed. Now, in the past, various prophets, messengers, avatars didn't tell you the whole story because it was not needed at that time. But it is needed at this time because people are almost ready to destroy the whole humanity. That's why this avatar has come. You may not accept. I'm not asking you to acknowledge me as an avatar, but try to understand what I'm talking about. You don't have to acknowledge that I'm Kalki. You don't have to acknowledge me as the God mentioned in Christianity, or the God, the one God that is Muslim folks worship in black color in Mecca. You cannot see that in me because of your ignorance. I'm not expecting you to understand me, but more important is the knowledge that I am imparting to you. That's extremely important. Think about all these ignorances that I've been pointing out. Come out of that. It is to create this kind of turning point, making people to understand the ignorance that they all have, and again, once again, make them to experience God's love, the love that Jesus Christ embodied and preached. That's why I'm here. I know right from the beginning till the end, the whole creation. I know that in some of the religious books, it was the creation and destruction were described differently because they were all written by human beings, partly hearing from their prophets. Afterwards, some of the ignorances were introduced into those religious textbooks by people who have no idea of the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God. By the way, the kingdom of God is where all this Maheshwara, Adishva and Adishakti, or Adam and Eve, and you, the humanity, also are. This whole thing is in the mind of the Eternal One. What Hindus call Brahman. Not Brahma, but Brahman. The place of the mind of Parashakti and Paramasivam. And if you remove your ignorances, once again, you will experience this enormous joy of this golden light. So, think about all the things that I've talked about. How I brought together Garden of Eden. By the way, Garden of Eden is not in Middle East. It is not in Jerusalem. It is a concept in the kingdom of God. Tree of knowledge is to just describe the structure, the system of various gods and also humanity. which is also part of this whole thing, one thing, which is kingdom of God. So that's what I want to talk to you folks. Understand this. If you have any question, please let me know. I will explain again. Just don't ignore all these things because you don't accept me as the avatar. Does not matter at all who I am. What is more important is who you are, what kind of ignorance you have, what is your relation to the whole system of God. That's what is more important. Remove all the ignorances. Be in the lap of the Eternal One, the lap of joy, love of this eternal God. That's what I want to talk to you folks. Talk to you soon on another important topic very soon.